welcome back. It's so good to see you. So, today we are going to be reading from my grandmother's memoir. Yay. I love it so much. Just not even because it's my grandma, which, I do love it because it's my grandma, but I love reading about stuff that happened in the past. You know what I mean? Like, just reading about people's lives and experiences. It's so cool, I think. So yeah, now I don't know how long I'm going to be able to read today because I am recording with Ava sitting right next to me. She's lightly sleeping, so I'm going to try and get through this video without her waking up. So if you hear any weird little noises, it's just her sleeping. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, I'm very excited about this chapter because it's about Christmas. Yes, I love Christmas, and I know that Christmas was my grandmother's favorite holiday as well. So I can't wait to read. Alright, this is chapter 20, Christmases I Remember. We always had our Christmases on Christmas Eve. I think it was a German tradition or something, and we almost always had some kind of tree. One year, if I remember correctly, it was a big cactus or a rubber plant or something like that, and Mom decorated it for us. She always made all the holidays special, and us kids really appreciated that. My mom did the same thing. She's always made the holidays special, and I hope that I am doing that for my kids as well. We would go in the fall to find hazelnuts on a bush that she had scouted out, and we would dry them in the attic. Then we would crack them with a hammer and pick out the shells. Mom would make fudge for Christmas. The hazelnuts made the fudge taste so good. Don't really like hazelnuts. My daughter loves them though. One Christmas, I think I was about 10 years old, and my present was a red plastic bulldog pin. I loved it. I wore it to school on my coat, and when I got home from school that day, the pin was missing. It had come loose and was lost in the snow. I was heartbroken. My older sisters went with me to find it, and we did find it. Miracle of miracles. On the side of the main road where a car had driven over it. Oh no. Mom fixed it for me, and I was very careful of it after that. That pin is one of my greatest treasures. I have kept it through the years, and it still means as much to me as it did all those years ago. You can see it in the shadow box on the wall of our dining room in our home today. Oh, there's a picture of it. Okay, it says, let's see, it says something, from Clockwise. My red bulldog pin in the top right. In the top right hand corner, a Valentine from long ago, my something spelling bee ID card, and something school pictures. I don't know, I can't read what it says, but something from the spelling bee. There's a picture in there of Valentine and a big F, I think from her maybe college or high school jacket, something like that. But there's the bulldog pin. I remember seeing this in her house. I think my aunt actually has that in her house now. Anyway, continue on. One year, I got a ball of gray yarn for Christmas that Mom would make into mittens for me as soon as she had the time to knit them. We would wait until Daddy got home from work, and that was sometimes really late because he worked on a farm and then had to walk a few miles to get home. Then he would eat, and if it wasn't too late, he would go out to the barn with us kids to give Mom time to get things ready in the house. At some point, he would usually say, "Shh, I think I hear sleigh bells." We would all listen, and of course, we thought we heard them too. That's so sweet. Then we would all go back to the house, and Mom would have put the gifts in our places at the table and covered them with a sheet. I remember one time she said that it was like a dishcloth or something like that, or a kitchen towel. They didn't have wrapping paper back then, you know. Well, at least they didn't. I don't know. When we were all back inside, she would take off the sheet, and there were our gifts, or gift, as the case sometimes was. We always appreciated everything so much. We were always so grateful for anything we got because we know how much Mom and Daddy had scrimped in order to get us anything. They did without oftentimes so we could have a happy Christmas. In the later years, we would each get a jar of hard candy when times weren't so hard, and in each jar would be a whole stick of double mint gum. Ooh. Wow. That was the greatest thing, because we usually had to divide the stick of gum into 5 pieces so that each of us kids could have a piece. You know, I remember that when I used to go to church with my grandma. I think it was like me and her and my aunt and someone else, but I remember that she would used to give us a piece of gum, but she would rip it into little pieces, so we would get like a piece of gum that was that big, and she said that was enough, you know. Even though she could afford gum, I think it was just something that she was used to happening, so she would always just chew a tiny, tiny piece of gum. Anyway, we also had a candy called Mounds for Christmas. They still have them today in stores. I don't like Mounds. My dad does, though, but I don't really like coconut, so. One Christmas, my sister Gail and I each got a compact. I guess that's like makeup or something. They snapped open, were round, and held a powder puff on one side and a mirror on the other side. Mine was painted green on top, and hers was maroon colored. We each got a garter belt that same year. We didn't have pantyhose back then. That's funny. And we each got a string of beads. I think mine were gray, and hers might have been a dark wine color. That was a wonderful Christmas. One year, I got a baby doll that I had wanted for a long time. I think I was a little too big to play with it, but it meant a lot to me. One thing I remember about Christmas was that Mom and Daddy didn't have any presents. Oh God, that's so sad. We usually made them something in school, so they had whatever we put together. One year, we made a half-log centerpiece. We drilled 3 holes through a half-log and put candles in them. They were really pretty. Now, I find it hard to recapture that wonderful, expectant feeling that we had for weeks before Christmas. It was a feeling of such great anticipation, and I don't think we were disappointed. It didn't take much to make us happy. I don't know, I still feel that way. I still get very excited around Christmas and stuff, not for me, but for my kids, like, I don't care if I get gifts or not, but I'm always so excited to give my kids their gifts. When we got older and moved away from home and had families of our own, Christmas changed for all of us. Still, if there was any way possible to get back home, we always went. I think Mom and Daddy appreciated that so much. I think how lonely they must have been, especially at Christmas time. I always really do love our Christmases, but come to think of it, I haven't heard any sleigh bells for a long, long time. Let me read that again. It says that I always really do love our Christmases, but come to think of it, I haven't heard any sleigh bells for a long, long time. That is so sad. Why you gotta make me cry, Grandma? And she has a little poem in here by Anonymous. It says, never a Christmas morning, never an old year's end, but someone thinks of someone, old days, old times, old friend. I guess she really liked that poem. I don't know. Sorry. Okay, I think I'm alright. My gosh. Why'd she have to put that? So sad. Okay. Chapter 21. How I Met My Husband. Let's see. Okay, it says, little did I know that just 20 miles away lived a young man whom I had never met, but who would soon come into my life and change it profoundly. There's a picture. It says Wendell in about the 4th grade. It says, I first met Wendell when I was a telephone operator. I had just graduated from high school and I was 17. That is my grandpa. Okay, he and his parents moved to her town. One day, he attempted to make a long-distance call to his uncle. He didn't know the number, only that it was in St. Cloud. That's crazy. Like, back in the day, you'd be like, I need to call my uncle, so just pick up the phone. Hey, give me my uncle's number. But I don't know what his number is. Like, what? Anyway, okay. We finally figured out the number, and he was able to reach his Uncle Mark. Well, he liked the sound of my voice so much that he tried to set up a date with me. I was not impressed and declined his offer. He continued to pursue me, so basically he became a stalker, and he certainly didn't give up easily. Yep, stalker. He had a convertible. Ooh. And he would drive around town with the top down, and as many girls as he could corral sitting on the back. Nice. So, I didn't like my grandpa. He was a very terrible man, but like, I read this and like, it doesn't make me like him anymore. So he stalked her, and then when she was like, no, he was like, oh, well, I'm super cool. I have a convertible, and I'm gonna get all these girls and then drive by you so you can know how much I am wanted, to like make her want him more. Gross. Ugh. Anyway, He tried so hard to make me jealous, but it didn't work. I just turned my nose up when he drove by. He wore a black leather motorcycle jacket. Cool. He smoked cigarettes. Super cool. He played the guitar. Okay. Back then, I secretly thought he was pretty cool, but of course I didn't let on. I don't know how to feel about this, because it's like, I'm glad that they got together because, then my mom was born and stuff, but it's like, I know about her life with him, and it's like, don't do it. But she secretly thought that he was pretty cool. I mean, I guess back then he had a convertible, he wore a leather jacket, he smoked cigarettes, he played a guitar. Oh my god, what a bad boy, right? Finally, I went on a date with him, mostly because he would not leave me alone. Stalker. And from then on, it was more or less a done deal. We got married on May 7th, 1955. Yeah, he was a bad boy, because he convinced my innocent, perfect grandmother to go out with him, the bad boy. And then before marriage, we found out he convinced her to sleep with him. And then, shock, she got pregnant. So they had to get married. I mean, what a jerk. Anyway, at that time, the average income was $4,317 a year. That's like, what? A new house cost $10,950. Man, that would be nice. A loaf of bread was 18 cents. A gallon of gas was 23 cents. Oh my god. Dude, we should have like throwback Thursdays for gas stations. You know what I mean? And like pick a year before, like, the year 2000 even. Throwback Thursday, pick a year, boom. That's how much gas is for that day. How cool would that be? Yes, please. A gallon of milk was 92 cents. And what? Gas was cheaper than milk? Okay. And a new car cost $1,910. Nice. We have been through some awful times, and we have had some wonderful times too. My husband has a wonderful sense of humor. I think not. I have never laughed at anything this man has ever said. But as long as she thought he was funny, you should always be with somebody that can make you laugh. So, this has gotten us through a lot of rough patches. My mom and dad really did not like the man I wanted to marry. Obviously, he was still in high school. What? He was 4 months younger than me. They thought we were from two different worlds, and we were so young. Yeah, I guess that's where I get it from. Like, 'cause I married a younger man, way younger for me. Like, he's 5 years younger than me, and I met him in high school. When he was in high school, I wasn't in high school. I was in college. So, like, we had to ask permission to be together from our parents. But she apparently didn't ask permission from her parents. Wow. My mom married somebody that was 4 years younger than her. My dad wasn't in high school, but he should have been. Yeah, I met my husband when he was 17. My mom met her husband, my dad, when he was 17, and apparently my grandma met her husband when he was 17. That's crazy. What? I just like connected all that stuff. Interesting. Okay, anyway, I guess the saying that opposites attract is true. They were opposite. Definitely. Anyway, I married him, and they grew to love him very much, for which I was so thankful. I mean, I guess you have to. Like, they probably didn't love him, but they accepted it, because what are you gonna do, you know? Okay, and here's a picture of him. You're not gonna be able to see it really that well, but it says Wendell at daughter Christie's wedding. Okay, chapter 22, Motherhood. The greatest achievement of my life is being a mother. I mean, she had 6 kids. Yikes. When your children are small, you are the center of their universe. They look at you with love. You are the most important person in the world to them. You are their whole world. All of this changes, of course, during the early teen years. Oh no. A mother loves her children unconditionally. A mother never gives up on her children. I was 18 years old when I first became a mother. Yikes. I had never even babysat anyone and had no experience to fall back on. Terrifying. I had little confidence and very low self-esteem. My sister Marilyn gave me a Dr. Spock paperback book. So cute. And it covered nearly everything anyone would want to know about babies and raising them. I know it sure helped me a lot. I really didn't have a clue. I learned in later years, after several more children, that babies were much stronger than I had thought, and they could put up with a whole bunch of well-intentioned mistakes on my part. We had 6 daughters in the span of 11 years. No, thank you. And we all survived with a lot of praying and trying to do the right thing. To say I was overwhelmed would be stating the facts mildly. Yep. I did not have a great deal of patience with my children. I certainly regret that. Yeah, I remember my mom saying that my grandmother and her mother were 2 different people. But I think that's how it is, though, you know, because, like, I'm sure I'm going to be a totally different grandmother than I am a mother to my kids, because, like, my mom is a different grandparent than she was a parent, you know. Like, I think it's just by the time you get older, you're more relaxed a bit, and they're not your kids, so you can treat them differently and stuff, you know. Like, I don't know. Okay, and then it says, and then there was 1 Terry, and 2 Wendy, 3 Kathy, 4 Dallas, 5 Christy, and 6 Stacy, all wonderful girls. Okay, so the first picture is Terry. The second picture says Grandma Stevenson and Terry, and Grandma Ethel with Wendy. I don't know. And then there's Terry, Wendy, and Kathy something for school. I don't know. Her writing is... But that is Terry. And then... I don't know. It's kind of hard to see these pictures. But the littlest girl is my mom. Okay. Oh, there's more pictures. It says Kathy, Terry, Wendy, and I can't see Dallas on Wendy's birthday, And then Kathy, Wendy, Terry, Christy, and Dallas. These are really hard to see. I think I'm making too much noise. Ava's flopping around. Okay, there's more pictures. It says our grandchildren are Cynthia, Michael, Mary, Tina, Luke, Brian, Ricky, and Michael Thomas. And our great-grandchildren are Catherine, Donald, Charlie, Michael, Juliet, Theodora, and Peyton. They're much more now. But this picture, it says Terry, Kathy, Wendy, Dallas, Christy, and Stacy on spring break or spring branch. Okay, chapter 23. This is the last chapter for today. It is moving right along. And there is a little poem by it's an Irish saying. It says, "May the road rise to meet you, and the wind be ever at your back, and may the Lord hold you in the hollow of his hand." Okay. Our oldest daughter, Terry, was born when we lived in Minnesota. Our next daughter, Wendy, was born in Illinois. Our third daughter, Kathy, was born in Minnesota. Our fourth daughter, Dallas, was born in Montana. Our fifth daughter, Christy, was born in Montana. And our sixth daughter, Stacy, was born in Minnesota. They moved around a lot because her husband was in the army. So they had to move, to wherever he was stationed. I think it might actually say that. The reason for most of our daughters being born in different states was that Wendell was in the Air Force. Air Force, not Army, whatever. And wherever he was stationed, we went along if we could. Some of the places we could not go to were Thule, Greenland, and Okinawa. Otherwise, we tried to be together as much as we could. We first lived in Minnesota, then moved to Rapid Parks, then, these are all in Minnesota. Then they went back, and then they moved to St. Cloud, and then they went to Cheyenne, Wyoming, and then they moved to Illinois, and then they moved to Montana, and then to Miles City, Montana. From Miles City, we moved back to Minnesota. We then moved to Dallas, Texas. Then we moved to Sartell, Minnesota. From there, we moved to Onamia, Minnesota. Then we moved to Houston, Victoria, Conroe, and Cut and Shoot, Texas, where we live now. Yes, there is a town in Texas called Cut and Shoot. Cut in Shoot. Sorry. She goes into a description. It says, "I will tell you about Cut and Shoot and how it got the name for those of you who did not believe there is such a town." It's like she's talking to you guys. Crazy. Okay. The trouble started when two different religions wanted to be used. The trouble started when two different religions wanted to use the building where church was held. Okay. The people did not want the Mormons and apostolics. I've never heard of apostolics to hold services there. They disagreed about whether the groups should use the church. Okay, I guess it was like a community church, and like on different days, different religions would have different services or something, but apparently Mormons and apostolics are shunned from the church. While the accusations flew back and forth, an 8-year-old boy became frightened at the disturbance and said, "I'm going to cut around the corner and shoot through the bushes in a minute." What? Thus the name Cut and Shoot was coined. An 8-year-old boy became frightened at the disturbance of this different churches arguing, and he said, "I'm going to cut around the corner and shoot through the bushes in a minute." Like, at the people? Or, I'm confused. Okay, thus the name Cut and Shoot was coined. Actually, there was no cutting or shooting on that day. At any rate, the name stuck to the community. This all happened in 1912. On April 5th, 1969, an election was held to incorporate the town of Cut and Shoot. I think the population of this town is about 1,100 or so now. In 1969, it was approximately 300. We have lived in at least 13 cities. We have moved at least 23 times in our married life. Sometimes these were places within the same city. I think this more than makes up for my childhood, during which time Mom and Dad never ever moved. I lived at their home for 17 years until I left and went to work. And that's the end of the chapter. I remember my mom telling me about her moving, and she moved so many different times in her childhood. And I think that, like, I don't remember how many times we moved, but I think that eventually she was just like, she wanted a house where she would just stay. And she has lived in the house that she's in now 22 years. That's the longest I think she's ever lived in any house in her entire life. So, and I think she's happy where she's at. And I don't want her to move because she's literally 2 miles from my house. Like, I can walk to her house. Like, no big deal. Not that I could, because, I got walking issues, but it's literally like 3-minute drive to her house, which is great. But anyway, so yeah, that was that for this video. I can't wait to move on. I don't even know what the next chapter is called, but I love reading every chapter of this book so far. So I really hope that you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.